Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so last week's video I mentioned like super briefly that I've mentioned it before. I think I talked about it mostly on Instagram stories and then in the bloopers video. That I'm not working with like epoxy resin anymore. And there were quite a few people that were like, wait, what? And then I realized that I've never really like talked about it in a video. So at the end of 2021, I decided, I went on my Instagram stories and it was literally out of the blue. I decided that I wasn't gonna work with resin anymore, and there's a few different reasons. One of the main ones is that I have a lot of anxiety with like health stuff. And obviously resin is mixing two chemicals together, and when you mix those two chemicals together, it creates fumes and vapors that are dangerous and can cause, health problems. So while I worked with it as safely as I could, it just was always in the back of my mind that, I don't know, it was always at the back of my mind. And so, okay, this wasn't meant to sound like I was trying to scare you guys into not working with resin. These are just like my anxieties around it and my reasonings. I mean, if you work with resin safely, with a respirator and the filters for fumes and gloves and work in a well-ventilated space, like I've talked about this quite a lot on my channel. So if you use those like things and you do it safely, you should be fine. It's just that I have a lot of anxiety around it, and I didn't mean for this to sound like I was trying to scare you guys. So, okay, back to the video. Since I have anxiety anyway around health stuff, I needed to step away from it. Like I kind of, at the point that I got to with resin, I had to step away from it for my own mental health. And I also felt really boxed in by, we were doing a resin video every single week, which meant I was basically working with resin like every day. I think I had like one day a week where I wasn't working with resin, but basically I was working with resin literally every day. And when you have anxiety around health stuff and the thing that you work with every day is like, I don't know, I'm sorry if that sounds stupid. It's just where I was at, and I was pretty sick of it and boxed in and the whole health stuff. And it's also not biodegradable, which I learned from you guys. And it's, to clarify this as well, I have researched this, I have asked around, I have dug for the information, and there is like mixed info everywhere. There's also obviously different types of resins made out of different stuff, so it's not like all resin is not biodegradable. Again, there's like mixed info everywhere, so if you know something, let me know in the comments because I'm down to learn about this. I have heard of eco resins, but the only ones I've been able to find are ones that are partially made from like recycled materials, so they're still not biodegradable as far as I understand anyway. So again, if you have any info that you would like to share on the topic, let me know in the comments. It's, these are all just my reasons. So, I don't want to, if you work with resin, that's amazing because resin is really, really beautiful and can do some really cool stuff. And we did some really, really amazing stuff on my channel. It's just something, these are my reasons, and that's kind of where I landed, and I feel like I just had to step away from it for those reasons. So with that, I hope that you guys are okay with that. And, I want to branch out into all these other different things like the tufting and, just some of the things that we've been doing. We built a desk last week. We built a desk. I'm still so proud of it. So we're going to be branching out into some other stuff, and something that I wanted to do was kind of explore the resin alternative world. I did want to kind of maybe start sort of a series-ish where we test out resin alternatives, and that's what we're going to be starting with today. So somebody commented and mentioned Jesmonite, and it took me forever to get my hands on, but I got some. So I got a kit, and it comes with all the necessary things to make like these little trays that are on the box. And then I also got a couple of these kits, which I think are just the Jesmonite stuff. I feel like we should just get started. I've been talking for way too long. Yeah. I feel like we should just get started, so we're gonna do that. So the way that they measure this in the directions is with a scale. By the way, this is the mold that comes with the kit. So we're gonna do one the exact way that they say to in the directions, and then I'm gonna, I don't even know what I was gonna say. Go crazy and come up with something entirely different, because I do have some dried flowers here and some different molds that I want to use. So anyway, Alright, so rather than forcing you to watch me read some facts, I thought I would fire some off while we're working on this. So, before the facts start firing off, this stuff is a 2.5 to 1 ratio. So we're just measuring out the liquid part of it first, and then in the same cup we're going to measure out the base, which is the powder. So here are some facts about Jesmonite. So what is Jesmonite? Jesmonite products are composite materials, a combination of reactive mineral base and a pure water-based acrylic resin. All Jesmonite products are water-based, non-solvent, and contain no VOCs. By the way, the info that I'm reading is right off of their website. Jesmonite products are safe, non-solvent alternatives to solvent-based products such as fiberglass and polyester resin. So what I'm doing now is just mixing in a few drops of the pigment that they gave me in the kit. So in my research about this stuff, I was obviously trying to find if it was biodegradable. I kept Googling it, kept looking on their website. Like, it is kind of really hard to find. Like, I even emailed them asking them a few questions and I never got a response back. So really quick, back to the project for a second. They give you a little plastic bag that you can take this Jesmonite that you've kind of colored black, which it looked blue for me for some reason. Anyway, so you can pour this stuff onto the plastic bag and like spread it thin and then let it dry, and later we're gonna like crackle it and break it up. And this is how we make the little, it's either terrazzo or terrazzo pieces to like put into this little tray. I think that we can start breaking it up. I don't know if I want to go with like tiny pieces or like leave it with big kind of pieces. So this step said that it would take 20 minutes for this stuff to dry, but for me it took 45 minutes. But once it is dry, you can peel it off of the bag and start like breaking it up into little pieces. Alright, so now that we have our little pieces all broken up in this cup, I'm going to grab our mold because I think the next step is we have to take these little pieces and sort of like press them onto the mold before we pour the rest and like fill the mold. Do you think they'll be mad if I stick some like gold flake on there as well? I know that I said I was gonna do this one the exact way that they said, but that's difficult for me to do.
That's true.
Like, gold flake would look real nice. Alright, get me the gold flakes. I'm gonna sneak a little bit of this in. I know I said I was gonna stick to the directions on this very first one, but don't care. We're gonna put some of this gold flake on there. I'm not gonna go crazy. Everyone's like, oh god. Here we go. Look at this. Oh, shut up. Here we go. Gonna press some of this on to the mold. Oh my god. Greatest decision I've ever made. This doesn't even look real. This looks ridiculous. Look at this. Look at it. Oh my god. Look how, oh my god. I like it, Picasso. So now that we're done decorating the mold, I'm gonna start mixing up the rest of it that's gonna like fill the mold. So we're gonna set this aside and bring back the scale. Alright, so we're on to the next part of this tray, which is still just a 2-to-1 ratio. And then we're just going to mix it together the same way that we did the last step. Alright, so back to the facts portion of this. I was saying that it is difficult for me to find the answers to some of the questions I've been asking, like, is it actually biodegradable? And I did just find this article from heykiddoco.co.uk. Although this article is specifically talking about the AC100 Jesmonite, and I am using AC300. So I'm not sure if the info in this article is not going to apply at all to the stuff that I'm using, but it's still talking about Jesmonite in general. And just to weave back into the project here for a second, this is another one of the pigments. This is the white one. It said to put 10 drops in. I felt like it didn't change anything because the stuff is already white, but that's what we're doing. And then once it's all mixed together, I am just going to take my mold that has all the pieces in it, and we're just going to pour it in and fill it up. So jumping back over to the facts, or the info part of this article says the powdered component of Jesmonite is a modified gypsum, which is a non-toxic, non-hazardous material that naturally occurs within sedimentary rocks.
Okay. The directions.
Let's do something crazy.
Crazy.
Now we're on to another project where I'm going to test if you can mix in acrylic paints. So we're just mixing it up the same that we have been. And then once it's mixed up, I am going to separate it into different cups so that we can mix up the different colors. Okay, back to this article. So it says the liquid component of Jesmonite consists of a water-based acrylic resin. Since Jesmonite qualifies as an eco-resin and not a bio-resin, we can assume that the resin component is synthetic, a plastic, non-biodegradable material constructed from fossil fuels. And just to reiterate and clarify, this isn't an article and this is just an assumption. So it's saying that it's manufactured in a sustainable way, but the acrylic plastic, which makes it non-biodegradable, possibly, which is a bummer. Back to the project, we have our plastic bag, and I'm just taking all of the colors that we've mixed up, pouring them on, making them as thin as possible, and then we're going to let them dry. So the acrylic plastic is what makes it really durable, but it's also what makes it not biodegradable. I say that with a questioning tone because I'm not totally sure. So that was just some of the info that I wanted to share with you guys about this stuff. I will link this article down below, and I'll also link Jesmonite's website down below. And if any of the info I read off was incorrect, or if you have anything you want to add, let me know in the comments. Okay, so this took forever to dry, but at this point, I think it's done. It's starting to like curl and everything, so I'm gonna peel this up. Ooh, look how cute. I feel like you could just paint some acrylic paint onto some plastic like this and then peel it up. Like, I wonder if it has to be mixed with the Jesmonite stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so we have our little pieces here. I'm just gonna break them up into some smaller pieces. And look how cute and pretty. Look how cute. Adorable. Cute and pretty. Okay, so now, that was super annoying. All right, I've got this little heart mold, and it's not a tray, but it's a cute little heart mold, so we're gonna use that. And I'm gonna take some of these little pieces and press them on in the same way that we did the little black pieces. It's fine. I think it's cute.
Yeah.
All right, so now that that's all set, I'm gonna mix up some Jesmonite. Okay, so I have two bookend molds that I want to use. Like, basically, we're probably going to use both of these two kits to do each one of these bookends. And I kind of want to see if, in the same way that we sort of like embedded those little like cracked pieces, I kind of want to see if we can embed some flowers in that same way. So I have some dried flowers that I'm going to kind of just put in there. Look at this one. Look at it. It's so old. I think this was an anemone. I still can't say it. Update, still can't say that flower. So I'm just gonna lay them face down because when we pop it out, the bottom of the mold is gonna be the front. So just gonna get that in there. All right, and then we've got this little guy as well that I'm gonna put probably up here, just face down. Okay, so the flowers for this one are in. So I want to go in with these flakes, and it's called a Miracle, but I don't want it to get too insane, so I'm just gonna dabby down. Oh no! I feel like you guys definitely aren't seeing how pretty it is, but take my word for it, it's very pretty. So I'm just kind of dabbing this around the flowers. Oh my god, that's beautiful! Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
These flakes are unreal. All right, so I'm probably gonna do the same for the other bookend. Okay, we're gonna mix up some Jesmonite and fill in these molds.
Okay, so for these bookends, like I was saying earlier, I am using an entire kit to make one bookend. So I'm pouring the entire liquid bottle and then I'm pouring the entire powder bag into it. It is in a cup because I've measured it to make sure it was the correct measurement. So I'm using an entire kit for one bookend. By the way, the kits that I'm using are the AC300 and one kit is 280 grams. So this is the black pigment that they gave me. It's got no label on it or anything. I'm just assuming that it's their black pigment, and I'm using half of it for one half of the bookend, and then I'm going to use the rest for the other one. Okay, so this stuff says that it cures in 30, well, it dries in 30 minutes, right? But full cure is 24 hours. So I think I'm gonna pop it out because it's basically dried. Oh my god, look how pretty that is. That's so cool. I for some reason, I was like, this is not gonna be as cool. But this is like so pretty. All right, so one last thing that I wanna do to this before we do our final oohs and ahs at it is I kind of want to try to seal it with some Mod Podge. I don't know how it's gonna go, but we're testing things around here, you know?
Yeah.
We gotta figure out how this stuff works. So I've got some Mod Podge here. It is matte, but this piece is matte anyway, so we're not losing anything. I really am just doing this to give, like, you know, a barrier between the gold and the little like black flakes that are on here. I don't want them to like get loose or anything. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there and we're gonna let this dry overnight. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll kind of like check it out, and then we're also gonna pop everything out tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow. All right, it is the next day and I feel like we have a lot to go over. So first up, the little tray that we made, super adorable. The Mod Podge dried exactly how I knew it would, just kind of like a matte clear coat. But also I was thinking, instead of using Mod Podge, I remember using like a Sculpey clay top coat once. So I wonder if you could top coat it with that as well, but the Mod Podge did work and it looks super cute. The sound of it, that's nice. So we're gonna get into the realm of things where we kind of delved away, you know, delved from the instructions and the things that you're supposed to do. And we're gonna start with the heart. So we're gonna pop out the little heart, see how that came out. And so this, I colored the Jesmonite black with acrylic paint, and then the little specks that we put, kind of like the black ones on this, is also colored with acrylic paint. So that's what it's looking like. Oh, it looks cool. I mean, it's hard because I'm not like, it's hard for me to do like super, I don't mean basic in like a rude way, but just like super simple projects like these. My brain is literally like, you have to make it as complicated as possible, but it is really cute. And it honestly kind of looks like the acrylic paint and the black Jesmonite pigment that they gave us kind of reacted the same way. And the experiment with this was to see if you could color Jesmonite with acrylic paint. It does look like you can. All right, now we're gonna pop out the things that I'm sure all of you are dying to see me pop out. So when I left here and thought about, like, when I left this room and went over everything that we did, because that's what I do to like
overanalyze everything to see if things are gonna work out. I realized I didn't do anything to like seal the flowers. I just put them in. Like I didn't spray them with anything, or like, I don't know. I was like, why on earth didn't I like at least laminate them or something? So when I came in today, I did pop out one of them. I popped out the less interesting one. Okay, so we're gonna pop out the more interesting one together. I have no idea what it looks like. So this is what the other one looks like with the smaller flowers. So I mean, it didn't do anything to the flowers to like ruin them or burn them or anything like that. So like this, we lost a little bit of it, but doesn't it look like a fossil? I feel like it looks like a fossil and it's kind of cool. This entire flower did perfectly fine because I'm assuming because this one was so flat that it did kind of stick to the mold a little bit. We lost this one, and then we've got like another fern fossil at the bottom, and then we lost a bit of this guy too. But this color isn't doing it justice. You can see the glitter a lot better. But I was also wondering if I should try to seal this because the flowers are just exposed. I'm gonna pop out this one first. It smells like something I reckon, like it almost smells like Pepto-Bismol or something. All right, ready? Oh, good. Oh, good. It perfectly stuck to the Jesmonite and it looks really cool. The main flower looks super cool. It was already pretty like toasted looking. I would say toasted when it has that like tannish brown color. That's just from it drying and like sitting in a book for probably years, honestly. So this is what these two pieces look like together. They are little bookends and I think they look really, really cute. Ah, they're gonna look beautiful on my bookshelf. The only thing is I just have to figure out how to like finish them off. All right, so it is actually the next day. Here's what we did yesterday.
Alright, so for the acrylic paint heart, I am going in with the Sculpey clear gloss. I'm just going to dribble some on and then paint it around with a paintbrush. And then for this bookend, I am also going to go in with the Sculpey clear gloss, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some on and then paint it around with the paintbrush. And lastly, for the other bookend, I am going to go in with this Rust-Oleum clear durable top coat spray stuff. So I'm just spraying that on. I honestly put a lot on. And then I let everything dry for 24 hours.
So I tried a couple different top coats, as you guys just saw. I wanted to kind of like test things out and see what possibly would be the best one because I wasn't a huge fan of the Mod Podge thing. So one of the top coats that I did was the Sculpey Gloss Glaze. I did that on the heart and then one of the bookends. So it looks really good. The only thing is like since you paint it on, it's like kind of streaky. You might be able to see that in the light, just like the streaks from painting it on with a brush. It gave it, you know, like a nice gloss finish and also like sealed in these little pieces. And the other one that we did the Sculpey Glaze on was this. So this is one of the bookends, and I wasn't, honestly, this was like a test. I wasn't sure what this stuff was gonna do to flowers. I wasn't sure if it was gonna like make it icky looking. I don't think it changed it that much because again, these flowers are old and they were already kind of yellowy. But yeah, so I think it did pretty good. Like it sealed it in. Like it's not going anywhere. It's pretty good. And like the flowers feel kind of like hard, you know what I mean? Like they feel pretty well sealed in. So again, this does have streaks from painting it on, so that's not my favorite thing. And then the other finish that we did was the spray paint. So this is the, well, not spray paint, but the spray paint like sealer on this other bookend. And I feel like it also did pretty well. What's super weird though is that it, on the areas where there's no like dusting of glitter, it made it very shiny. And then the areas where there is glitter, it's still kind of like matte, kind of bizarre, but I mean, it totally sealed in the flower. It feels pretty fine, not as protected as this flower feels, but there is, like, I can still tell that there is a barrier between me and this flower, like I'm not going to be able to just like scratch it off. What I'm thinking with these two different outcomes is I can use the Sculpey gloss glaze, paint that on first. Yes, it's streaky, but then once that's dry, I can spray the, you know, some kind of like spray paint top coat, clear coat, and finish it off. And we would get the best of both worlds, right? We would get like a nice, you know, protective seal and barrier between like air and the flower. And then we'd be able to get like a nice, smooth, non-streaky top coat. So with that, our 5,000 experiments for this video is complete. And I think I have a pretty well-rounded opinion on Jesmonite and like top coating it and everything, because I feel like in my mind that was kind of an up in the air sort of issue. You know, this stuff being, what they say is that this stuff is non-toxic and there's no VOCs. I know that some resins say that they don't have any VOCs, which VOCs mean volatile organic compounds. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. But I know that some resins say that they don't have any VOCs, but I don't know. Really? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not there when resin is made. So they very well, the ones that claim that very well could be. I'm not saying they're not. So this is another thing that claims that it doesn't have any VOCs. So anyway, I loved working with this stuff. I feel like the fact that you can color it with acrylic paint, which we were able to prove with the heart, I love that we can do flowers. So anyway, those were my thoughts on Jesmonite. I really like it. And I'm super excited to be kind of trying different sort of, I know that this stuff is not clear. I know it's not clear the way that resin is, but I am really excited to be trying materials that are similar to resin where you can, you know, like use molds and put flowers in it. And it's honestly really cool and fun to like figure out how to like top coat things. Like I feel like everything before was just like, oh, my go-to is resin. Just resin. Oh, how are you gonna do that? Resin. How are you gonna top coat? Resin. No. I'm so bored. So this was really fun and I was so excited to like actually experiment again. This was fun. I loved it. Oh, here are some final shots of the pieces that we made with Jesmonite. So if you guys have any other suggestions of materials that are like resin that we could test out, or any like resin sort of replacements, I know there really isn't a perfect, you know, replacement for it, but anything like it that you want to see me test out or like research, put it in the comments. And lastly, just to wrap back around, because I'm nervous that you guys are gonna be upset that I don't want to work with resin anymore. It's just, I'm sorry if you hate it. I'm sorry if you're only here, or you were only here for the resin. It's just not where my heart is anymore. And you know, I've learned things about it that I don't like. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and follow me literally everywhere. It is at Artsymadwoman. I love you guys to absolute death, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.